So you've been wanting to research companies, but you don't necessarily have the time to do it yourself, or you don't know how to do it yourself. In this series of videos, I'm going to be going step by step through my entire process from beginning to end on how I find companies, what I look for when I do my initial research on the companies. If they pass my initial research, how do I value and evaluate them after reading their financial statements? I will go step by step, including valuations when we get to that point, and how to evaluate companies. My name is Jason Rivera, and welcome to Value Investing Journey Case Studies. Hey, in this conclusion part of the Filipino ADR case study series, I decided not to go through all of these companies one by one, frankly, because most of them were just terrible. Like I would say 95+% of companies around the world that I find, they do not fit my ultra strict criteria. And like here, or like in the around the world, these Filipino companies did the same. I invest in less than 1 out of every 1,000 companies I look at, because of my ultra strict criteria. That has allowed me, the criteria that has allowed me to produce higher returns than Warren Buffett. For my investors in the first 6 years of my career compared to the first 6 years of his career. So the process I use works. But again, I invest in less than 1 out of every 1,000 companies I research. So instead of showing you a bunch of crap companies over and over again, or at least in terms of metrics, crap companies over and over again, because I'm not saying these individual companies are crap. I'm saying their metrics are for the most part terrible on all these companies, or at least in many cases don't fit my specific and ultra strict criteria. However, having said that, out of these 44 companies, I'd added 3 companies to my watch list. Why? Let's get to the first one. These companies, the Philippine Stock Exchange itself, PSKXF, JG Summit Holdings Inc. ADR, JGSMY, and the video in our first case study of this series, San Miguel Corp, stock ticker SMGBY. So all these companies fit my ultra strict criteria. The only thing all of these didn't fit is the valuation. These are on my watch list, and I will keep them on the watch list until valuations come down for these companies. But for now, and I do my watch list a little bit different than most people. If a company fits my ultra strict criteria on everything except valuation, I put it on my watch list. That's pretty much the only way companies get on my watch list. I don't ever, unless it's some kind of NCAV or spin-off situation, I don't ever compromise on my ultra strict criteria, because again, it works. So why would I, unless there's some kind of NCAV or special situation going on? So that's the only way companies get on my watch list. What happens when companies get on my watch list is I keep them there. Typically from this point, I don't do any more research on these companies until valuations come down on these companies, meaning their share price falls, or their profitability rises, or a combination of both. So San Miguel Corp, JG Summit Holdings, and the Philippine Stock Exchange, the entire stock exchange, are on my watch list. Now, I'm going to do an individual video about each of these in the coming weeks, and release these again to people who subscribe to the Training Vault. You will see this first. You will see these sometimes weeks in advance, these videos, talking specifically about excuse me, why I like these companies, and why once valuations become better, these may be companies that I would buy. There are other companies, other big name companies on this list that I would consider at some point, but valuations are so insane right now that they would just have to be, or debt levels are so crazy that debt levels and or valuation would have to change a lot. Jollibee Foods is one that I would consider buying if debt levels and valuation dropped. Mega World, Metro Pacific. What's another one? This looked interesting. Premium Leisure. This company looked interesting, but it had too high of debt levels for me. This company was interesting. Same thing, debt levels, valuation, all that. So there are a lot of fantastic looking companies in the Philippines that I could consider investing in, actually far more than is typical for, again, I invest in less than 1 out of every 1,000 companies I look at. So if there are probably about 10 on just this list of 44 companies that I would consider investing in at some point, whether it be valuations, whether it be debt levels, whether it be their margins are slightly lower than fits my criteria, whatever the case may be. There are a lot of potential opportunities and great companies in the Philippines that I, again, may buy at some point. But as of today, I've put 3 companies on my watch list. Again, Philippine Stock Exchange, San Miguel Corp, and JG Summit Holdings to do further research on when their valuations become better. Again, I'll do short videos on each of these, explaining in depth what I like about each of these companies. But until then, if you have any questions about anything in this video, let me know. If you want, again, I'm going to do further explanations of these things, but if you want more in-depth explanations about what kind of companies go on my watch list, ask below. If you want to see the criteria I look for, look in one of the previous case study videos. Again, I'm going to keep doing this for companies all around the world because I'm looking at companies more now, again, and for the first time in 2.5, 3 years, and I'm looking for investments. So again, the people who would see these videos first are subscribers of the training, our Value Investing Journey Training Vault. If you want to see these videos sometimes weeks in advance of other people, or at least until I release them on the blog or on YouTube or wherever else we release them, social media, you need to subscribe to the Value Investing Journey Training Vault, which you can get for $49 a month right now, which is half off its normal price of $97 a month. Well more than $20,000 worth of value already in there, and another $20,000 to $40,000 worth of that value in videos we already have and just haven't added to the Training Vault yet. One of the biggest perks of the Training Vault is you'll get these kind of videos first. Again, you'll get them first, sometimes weeks in advance. So if you want to subscribe to that, there should be a link below this video. But until then, I'm going to keep working on these companies and keep looking for companies to invest in. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.